And I'm Mira Rubin, and today's topic is gremlins. I don't know about you, but sometimes I go through these phases where things just disappear, like they couldn't have disappeared. And sometimes I'll find them in the most unlikely places, and it just feels like there might be these little spirits or something having sport at my expense. I'm wondering if you have the same experience. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells and your organs, and bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's just take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating and energizing and electrifying all your cells and your molecules and your electrons, and creating a brilliant beam of light from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's gently press our palms together and softly, softly, softly rub your fingers against your palms, just to feel the deliciousness of that sensation, and to bring yourselves present right here, right now, into these marvelous physical forms that enable us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is the magical week between Christmas and New Year's. I think maybe I should have talked about this. Maybe I will talk about that tomorrow. But it seems like it's always a very interesting time of year where we get to recover from celebrating Christmas for many of us, and also start thinking about the new year and what the new year is going to bring for us. And anyway, but today we're talking about gremlins. And the reason we're talking about gremlins is because I am completely flummoxed as to where a couple of things of mine are that I really, really enjoy. Good morning, good morning. Rosalind says, welcome, Rosalind, by the way. It's great to have you here with us as always. Rosalind says, good morning, new week and new year upon us. Exactly. So I'm feeling the energy of the new year coming in, and already making some strides toward cleaning things up to wrap up the year, and also setting intentions for the coming year, and looking at where I've been over the past year. But we're going to keep that conversation for later in the week, I think. But meantime, we're talking about gremlins, because my hat, this wonderful, wonderful knit hat that I adore, all of a sudden it seems to have disappeared. I don't believe I could have left it anywhere. And I discovered the other day that a scarf that I adore also is not here. And at least if it's here, it's hiding. And it's just so bizarre when these kinds of things happen. I don't know if they happen for you as well, but where things just go missing. So Rosalind says, ask for ... I don't know what I'm supposed to ask for, but I know St. Anthony is the patron saint for lost things. Ask the fairies to bring it back. I think the fairies are playing with me. Okay, I will. Right here. Hey, fairies, whoever it is that's messing around with all this stuff, I think that they just do these things and laugh, because I haven't figured out another explanation. So I wonder if you guys have these experiences, and then things sometimes then show up or they don't. It's just bizarre. So I think they're messing with my head sometimes, and I can't, maybe it sounds nuts to be talking about other spirits or something, shifting things around, but seriously, I can't come up with any any reasonable explanation. It's just bizarre. So I'm wondering maybe if you have any stories about things disappearing and reappearing. And you know, sometimes we're just so preoccupied that we're not paying attention, and we might misplace things, or excuse me, or lose things. But I really haven't been anywhere where I would have lost these things. And it's just, it can be maddening. Sometimes it feels really disorienting, like, what the heck? What happened? Where did things go? Where was I that I wasn't aware of where things were going? And I wonder if you have a similar experience. And, this can take us into a conversation, not just of things disappearing, but mindset, where we have our own little gremlins that are talking in the back of our mind, giving us messages that cause us to doubt ourselves, our direction, our sanity, even. Yeah, it can get really, really crazy making if we allow it. And I just wonder, what's your experience? What's your experience? Yeah, Rosalind says mischievous Maggie. It's really interesting that you say that, Rosalind, because I had a miserable time getting to sleep last night. Really bad, tough. I just was tossing and turning all over the place. And I actually had a bit of a glimpse of Maggie, and sensed that she was there. So it's really funny that you say that, because it could very well be. It absolutely could very well be. So I wonder. I wouldn't put it past her. Maggie was very mischievous. She was one of the things, I don't know if I ever told you guys about it, but it was very funny. She had this thing about pens. I don't know why, but I had on top of the refrigerator, I have all kinds of grains and jars and stuff like that. But I had so I'm sorry, I'm distracted because there's some like a troll or something posting silly things from YouTube. And so whoever you are, I'm going to ask that you stop, because it doesn't seem like it's been very useful to try blocking you, but I would appreciate it if you just would stop. And anyway, so I was talking about Maggie, and I have some pens on top of the refrigerator. So Maggie would get on top of the refrigerator, and she would dig out these pens one by one. There were like 3 pens, and she would dig them out and then drop them on the floor. And she did this with all 3 pens. I have a video of it, which is really funny. She was very mischievous. Good morning, Cheryl. Welcome. It's great to have you here with us this morning. We're talking about gremlins, and I guess we're moving into 2 directions from there. Our personal gremlins, that are the voices that give us the messaging that tells us that make us question ourselves, and also the gremlins that make things disappear and reappear in our environment, maybe more disappear than reappear. And also just move things around. And I don't know if you guys have that experience. I'm just really curious because I have at times just found myself saying, okay, really isn't funny, cut it out, where it feels like things are messing with you. So again, I had a really hard time going to sleep last night, and I did have a glimpse of Maggie, which was really cool. It was kind of a first. It was sort of a shadowed glimpse of her, but hello, Gia, you made it. That's awesome. Welcome, welcome. I want to check in and find out, for those of you who celebrate Christmas, if you had a lovely holiday, or I hope so. I wonder how your holidays were. The holidays are often a very difficult time for a lot of people, so I'm not going to assume that you had a great Christmas, but I hope you did. And I was very fortunate to visit with some friends and family on Christmas Eve day, so that was a treat. And it felt like a long weekend, because I got to play a bit with folks on Friday, so Saturday and Sunday. It felt like there was expansive period of time. So I want to get back to this idea of gremlins, so I think I'm not sure if there's a book talking about gremlins, but our inner gremlins, that derail us oftentimes, that Dennis, good morning. Dennis says, good morning. The little stick gremlin on my shoulder hopes you all had a great Christmas. So funny, Dennis. So yeah, Maggie was like a little gremlin on my shoulder in a lot of ways. Anyway, the gremlins in our head are the conversations that tell us, well, maybe you don't know enough to do that. Maybe you're getting ahead of yourself. Maybe you should be more cautious. Sometimes that's good advice, but oftentimes the gremlins are there, and the gremlins are telling us, don't expand yourself, don't express yourself, be overly cautious. Gia says, we don't celebrate Christmas, but it's awesome here, enjoying time with family, get together, traveling, and a lot of fun. Or as our teens have holiday, we're celebrating with them. That sounds great, Gia. What a treat. That's awesome. It sounds really festive. And I think I don't celebrate Christmas either, but even as a holiday for myself, I sometimes have the good fortune to celebrate with others who are celebrating. But at this time of year for me is typically a time of introspection. Not that all year isn't, but in a different way, kind of taking an inventory. But like I said, we're going to talk about that more later in the week. But meantime, I guess part of that is being aware of the gremlins in our heads that are giving us all kinds of negative messaging that that we can become alert to and then derail it, where we don't have to listen to the gremlins. And most often those gremlins in our heads originate outside of us. It may be the caution of our parents, or it may be messaging that we received growing up that challenges us and questions our ability, where we start listening to these little gremlin voices that are saying that maybe we're not good enough, or maybe we're not worthy, or why would anybody want to do that with you or us? And when we hear these gremlins, oftentimes I've seen with clients that they receive these gremlins as if it's themselves, like believing that it's their own voice. And what I've found to be really effective with folks is to recognize that voice and call it the bully that it is, that it's not necessarily our core being. In fact, it's not our core being, but it's just a voice that's there to bully us into submission, or bully us into being less than we can be. And we get to put that bully in its place. Usually a bully, when you stand up to the bully kind of shrinks away. And identifying that voice, we don't have to play with bullies, right? So those gremlins that are in our head that are trying to make us feel less secure or less competent, we can diffuse them, we can derail them by first being aware of them, and then disempowering them by calling them out, and recognizing that it's just chatter that we don't particularly have to pay attention to. But I want to go back around to the way the things in the environment disappearing or relocating. Good morning, Robin. Welcome. It's great to have you here. We're talking today about gremlins that are in our minds, and gremlins that might be rearranging our physical environment somehow. So Gia says there's one of the biggest differences I've been witnessing here in India is we have a lot of get-togethers, family parties, as we have strong family system, and it's so much fun. There's always something going on along with our daily routine life. Either I didn't enjoy it much earlier, I didn't enjoy it much. I was irritated and scared, but now I'm full of life and cheerful with everything that life brings and understand its value. Well, Gia, I celebrate that with you. How wonderful. And I think, through this COVID time, it's worn on us in so many ways because of the lack of communication and connection with family and friends, and the vital social lives that nourish and nurture us as human beings. We're social animals, and to not have access to those kinds of social engagements and connections, it's been what, more than 2 years already? Is it a year and a half, 2 years? I haven't even tracked it. I think it's been a long time, at least, right? And it's hopeful as we look at what's happening with the plague. The latest version of it is maybe more contagious, but a whole lot less deadly. So that's the way that most plagues like this go, is that they lessen in intensity while becoming more spreadable. And so that's a really good sign, and hopefully we're beginning to see the ends of it. So Rosalind says there's a book about gremlins written for Walt Disney. The plot of the story is the gremlins' motivation for sabotaging British aircraft for the revenge of the destruction of the forest home. Wow, says Wiki. Eventually, the gremlins are trained by the Royal Air Force to repair rather than sabotage the aircraft. Well, that's interesting. That is really, really interesting because we could see that as a good thing, or we could see that as co-opting the gremlins and their intention. I don't know. I haven't seen the book or the movie, but I it's kind of like people fighting the pipelines, getting trained to build them somehow. I'm not sure. It just feels kind of yucky to me. But what do I know? And Gia says, "Oh, Mira, Rubin, India is totally functional now." Well, that's awesome. That is really awesome. I wish the rest of the world would take a clue from that. In the United States, I'm hearing that New York just shut down and made any kind of made a mandate for any kind of worker who works outside the home to be receiving the antidote. Well, it's not the antidote, but to be I'm being careful with my words anyway, so to get the jab, in other words. And it's crazy that as the impact is lessening, that the restrictions are increasing for some. So Gia says, "Oh yes, Gremlins. Thank you, Mira Rubin, for bringing this up." Yeah, well, I think the gremlins in our minds certainly help perpetuate our insecurities. And I think that the gremlins in our space, where things disappear and reappear and all of that, it's that also serves to undermine our sense of presence and security, right? Our sense of continuity. That's what happens, is when these voices in our heads make us question ourselves, which isn't always a bad thing, to question ourselves, but when it undermines our sense of presence, then it's not such a great thing. And that can happen, it's disruptive when things disappear from your environment too, like the predictability of things gets disrupted and questioned, and it's like, what the heck? I really truly can't imagine what happened to this hat that I adore, and the scarf. In fact, I've gone around the house multiple times, looking for it and have not found it. So I love your suggestion, Rosalind, that maybe it's Mischievous Maggie playing with my head. And hopefully she will, if it is her, she will find it within her heart to return these things. It's so funny. I just wonder if you guys have experiences like that, where things that couldn't really disappear have disappeared, and then may or may not reappear again. Sometimes they do reappear again. It's just very bizarre, and it can be really unsettling. Like, what in the world is going on here? Yeah. So I don't know what else for today. I like that Rosalind said, ask the fairies to bring things back. So maybe it is fairies messing with my head. I don't know. But I guess this leads us into areas of thinking about the inexplicable, right? So Gia says, yes, I've had a series of such experiences, and sometimes when I've lost the hope of finding it, I get them back. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. So don't know how to explain it. And maybe that's one of the lovely mysteries that we can enjoy, that there are things beyond our explanation or awareness or understanding. Anyway, that's it for this morning. So again, as always, I love spending this time with you and interacting, and I so appreciate it and appreciate you. And let's use this week between Christmas and New Year's to be looking at life in new ways, to be considering things in ways that we might not have, to bring ourselves forward into a year of possibility and promise. So Rosalind says, I hear the Fae like to help. Fae is plural for fairies. Well, that would be great. I would be thrilled if they want to help me out here. That would be great. So anyway, so much love to you. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern here on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page. And please check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network. And that's EWN One with the Earth, EWN Enlightened Living, and of course, Enlightened World Network Facebook page. So much love to you, Dido. It's so good to have you here with us this morning. As it is with everybody here, I want you to know that I appreciate you all so much and wish you a marvelous day. So much love.